Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today's video, I will be doing, I'm kind of switching it up a little bit. I'm gonna be doing true crime, and also I want to do like some creepy Craigslist stories just to keep it all, in the same kind of genre area. And so for today's video, I am going to be going through some Craigslist stories that I found online that I thought was really, really creepy, and I wanted to read it to you guys and, just kind of get y'all's opinion on it and see if anybody ever had any crazy Craigslist stories. I know growing up, I'm 28, being a teenager, I went to Craigslist for everything. For when I was trying to find my first car, just looking at random stuff on Craigslist. And after a while on Craigslist, I finally figured out a pattern that I noticed whenever I was shopping for cars and stuff like that. They will always send you an email saying that I'm not selling a car, but it's somebody in my family that's selling a car. Maybe because it usually range from family member has passed away, or they're selling it because of their children are going to college and they wanted to get it out of the yard. It was kind of similar in that aspect, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get off of Craigslist. I never had any crazy Craigslist stories as far as the ones I'm about to read. These are pretty wild. I put them up on my laptop. I have some here. I'm gonna just read through them and kind of talk to y'all about it. And I do plan on uploading another true crime case sometime this weekend as well. I'm recording this video. It's Saturday, August 31st. The video should be up tonight or tomorrow. If y'all like this kind of content and want me to, kind of go between creepy Craigslist stories and true crime, just let me know down below what y'all think and what kind of other videos y'all would like to see, kind of keeping it in the same genre as far as true crime and just stuff like that. There's like 10 of them, but I'm not going to read 10. I might just split them up between videos. I think I'm going to read maybe 3 or 4 this one because some of them are kind of lengthy. But let me know down below if y'all ever had any creepy Craigslist stories. The first one I found it's titled The Job of a Lifetime. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna be looking down and reading it from my laptop, like I said. To Scott Davis, the ad seemed too good to be true. A steady $300 a week and a place to live, all for watching a secluded farm in southeastern Ohio. The job of a lifetime. Davis, 48, had recently broke up with his girlfriend and was looking for a new start in life when he saw the ad on Craigslist in 2011. The ad mentioned that over 100 applicants had responded to the job posting. So Davis could barely contain his excitement when he got the call telling him that he was one of the job finalists. All he had to do now was meet his employer and check out the farm. After a final interview in a local restaurant, Davis climbed into the back of a white Buick while his new employer, a heavyset man named Jack, squeezed into the front seat. A burly teenager whom Jack introduced as his nephew was behind the wheel. As they drove, the road took them farther and farther away from civilization, which should have been a red flag there. Soon, they were surrounded by dense woodland, and not long after, the Buick creaked to a stop on a secluded stretch of the dirt road. Jack told Davis that they left some equipment just down the hill, so Davis hopped out to help them carry it up to the car. That's what he was there for. Jack led the way, the nephew. I think Jack is the nephew. Yeah, Jack is the nephew, led the way. But they somehow got turned around in a thick underbush. And Davis found himself walking with Jack and the young man right behind him. Davis heard the click of a gun hammer. As he spun toward the sound, a bullet shattered his elbow. He stumbled into the woods. Behind him, Jack cursed and fired round after round at his back. They all missed, and Davis spent his next hours creeping through the woods like a hunted animal, blood soaking his right side, never sure if Jack or his silent accomplice would be around the next bend. Long after sunset, Davis finally found his way to a rural house where he pleaded with the owners to call the police. Over the next few days, the horrifying reality of the situation came to light. Jack was actually a man named Richard Beasley who used his Craigslist ad to lure men into the woods to kill him. His nephew was 16-year-old Brogan Rafferty. Together, the two had already killed 3 men and buried their bodies in shallow graves in the woods. In 2013, Beasley was sentenced to death and Brogan was sentenced to life in prison. That is some crazy, crazy shit. Just think about it. You on Craigslist, trying to find a way to make ends meet, trying to find a good job, and then you end up getting in a car with this crazy ass man and his nephew, and they end up taking you to the woods somewhere and trying to kill you. That's just it was so many red flags that he should have looked at. But I guess to him it was like, okay, I'm getting this job. Craigslist was kind of new to everybody anyway back in the day, so people weren't really expecting nobody crazy to come about and try to kill them, especially in a situation like this. But it was really crazy. So the next one I have is a shallow grave. It's a saying as old as time itself: never hire a hooker on Craigslist, and never ever pay in advance. The internet is filled with stories of women and men posing as prostitutes who then rob their clients blind and make off with the money. But those stories are nothing compared to the tragedy of 26-year-old Jennifer Papin. I hope I'm saying her name right. Papin was a prostitute working in Long Island who advertised her services on Craigslist. On March 24th of 2010, she was contracted by 23-year-old Chad Johnson. Papin thought nothing of it, just another night and another job. For $80, she agreed to meet Johnson in his car and take care of their arrangement, but things didn't go as planned. Sometime during the event, Johnson asked for his money back. Papin refused, at which point Johnson got violent. He got his hands around her neck, and before she could scream for help, he was pressing her windpipe shut. He choked her to death and then drove to a wooded area in the Long Island Expressway and buried her body in a shallow grave. The subsequent investigation into Papin's disappearance turned up Johnson as the person who last seen her alive. A background check revealed that Johnson was nothing of a serial choker who had brushes with the law in the past for assault, and he ended up leading police to the grave where he dug her body. There's so many situations similar to this where, men or women, like they said, are meeting up with these people on Craigslist, for different activities and paying people, and then they end up dead. I feel like people, if you're going to be in this kind of work, in this field of work, that you should be careful on what you do and just stay off of Craigslist. Craigslist is not a place to be, playing around with or even trying to meet up with somebody. I wouldn't, that's should be the last place y'all think about is Craigslist. And I'm so sorry that she ended up losing her life. The guy, I'm gonna have to research and see more about this case because it's interesting a little bit. I can show you a picture of the guy. This is what he looks like. The guy that killed her, Chad Johnson. That story was crazy. It was a lot. All right, so the next one I have, the third story, is Billy Joe Delasey. I hope I'm saying his last name right. On a chilly morning on August 11, 2011, Morame Alejandre waited for hours at the Mesa County, Colorado bus station where her roommate Louise Olivia was supposed to pick her up after a long ride in from Denver. When he never showed, she got worried and called the police. When deputies arrived at Oliver's house, they found a grisly scene. Oliver was lying naked on an air mattress in a pool of blood. He'd been clubbed multiple times on the back of the head with a blunt object. Nobody doubted that it was murder, but finding the killer, that was a problem. The investigation quickly revealed that Oliver had been running a mail message service on Craigslist. Suspicion then fell on Oliver's partner, Brandon Wathen, who lived with Oliver. Was he jealousy, a crime of passion? Not likely, since Wathen was working out of town on the night of his death. Besides, Wathen had helped Oliver set up the Craigslist sex operation months earlier when they'd both been unemployed. Probably just trying to get extra money. Investigators then turned to Craigslist records and email communications with the people whom he had seen, and that's where they found their answers. All trails seemed to point to one man, an Army vet named Billy Joe Delasey, who had apparently been Oliver's last customer before his death. But even that trail soon began to feel like more of a maze. Delasey first said he'd never gone over to his house. Then he admitted that he had, but he left before they'd done anything. He then said he was paying rent at the time of the murder, but all his checks were dated after the killing. Child pornography was found on his computer, but what did that prove, since he stolen it in the first place? He said he couldn't talk to the police long because he was soon to be redeployed, but the Army hadn't talked to him since 2008. The bizarre trail led on and on, but finally in 2012, Delasey was arrested in Pennsylvania and indicted for first-degree murder. So I'm gonna do 5 stories. This is the 4th story that I have. It's titled "I Love You." On March 18th of 2015, Michelle Wilkins was glowing with joy as she made the short trip across town to the house of Dental Lane. She was 34 weeks pregnant with the little girl. The baby was healthy and she just found a cheap bundle of maternity clothes on Craigslist. Just what she needed to cover the ever-growing baby bump. All she had to do was pick them up. That was a red flag right there in itself. I mean, if you're gonna meet with people, especially when you're pregnant, if you're gonna meet somebody, please bring somebody with you. That was just kind of a crazy move to make. When she reached Lane's home, Lane led her inside. Second mistake was going inside of the house by yourself, where the two women talked for about an hour. Then Wilkins followed Lane into the basement. That's the third mistake, going down into the basement. No way. For the clothes, and the pleasant afternoon turned into a horror film. Without warning, Lane smashed a lava lamp over Wilkins' head and shoved her onto a bed, then used a shard of glass from the broken lamp to cut Wilkins' neck. Her hands went to Wilkins' throat, but there was already too much blood to get a good grip, so she pressed a pillow over her face. Losing consciousness and terrified for both her life and the life she carried inside her, she tried one final desperate plea for compassion. "I love you," she gasped. Lane grabbed a kitchen knife and replied, "If you love me, you'll let me do this." Then she cut Wilkins' unborn daughter from her womb. Then she cut Wilkins' unborn daughter from her womb and left the woman to bleed to death. Miraculously, Wilkins managed to retain consciousness long enough to dial 911, and she was rushed to surgery at the nearest hospital. And in the same hospital just down the hall, a woman in the maternity ward tearfully clutched a stillborn child to her breast and told nurses that she had a miscarriage. It was only later that the truth came out. Lane faces 48 years in prison for the charges. This sounds something straight out of a Lifetime movie. And the fact that I had seen, I watched a case about this a long time ago about where they were actually neighbors. I don't know if some of you are familiar with the case. It was a lady, they were neighbors, and they were friends. She ended up going to the lady's house, and the lady ended up cutting the baby out of her and just leaving. There's so many cases like this, and I feel like as a woman, you have to protect yourself. It doesn't matter if you actually go and meet up with another woman. Make sure that people know where you are. Make sure that somebody is with you, especially if you're 34 weeks pregnant, you almost full term. Like, make sure that you're meeting up in a public place. Do not go to someone's house. That is the worst mistake that you could ever make, especially if they're going to lead you down to a basement. That's a no right there from the jump. She should have brought somebody with her, and I'm so sorry this actually happened to her, because I couldn't imagine going through that. So the next story I have is titled "The Home Invasion." This is the last story. I'm gonna do 5 stories this video, and then I'm gonna upload another video maybe next weekend of the other 5 stories. This one is titled "The Home Invasion." James Sanders had a pretty sweet diamond ring. When he put it up for sale on Craigslist, he was hoping to bring in at least $1,000, money that might have helped out the family. After he received a reply to the ad, he invited the prospective buyers, a young married couple, over to his house in Edgewood, Washington, so they could have a look at the ring. But all was not as it seemed. When the couple arrived that night, Sanders was home with his wife and 2 sons, aged 10 and 14. He led the couple into the house. As soon as they were inside, however, the husband pulled out a handgun and ordered everyone to get onto the floor. While they tied up the Sanders family, 2 more armed men forced their way into the home. One of the new arrivals got rough and smacked Sanders' 14-year-old son with the barrel of his pistol. That was more than James Sanders could take. Wrenching himself free of his restraints, he dove at the man who hit his son, only to be shot 3 times. He died in his wife's arm, in front of his terrified children. 3 days later, a traffic stop in California led to the arrest of the 3 suspects: Kiyoshi Higashi, Joshua Reese, and Amanda Knight. A few days later, the 4th suspect, Clayton Bernard, turned himself in the face of a massive statewide manhunt. The 4 of them received sentences of 79 to 123 years in prison. When it comes to inviting strangers to your house to buy something, you have to be very mindful of what you're doing. Don't ever bring anybody into your home, especially something of that much of a value, a diamond ring. I feel like, I don't know, maybe if it was in a public place, the situation still would have happened like it did. But selling a diamond ring, I don't think I would have just sold it to anybody and allowed them to come into my house, especially when my wife and my children are at home. Anything could have happened. Everybody in the house could have been killed. And for him to actually die fighting for one of his children was actually really brave. And you just really don't know what's going on in people's mind these days, especially, I don't know if Craigslist is as popular as it was when I was growing up, because I was on Craigslist, but I wasn't like meeting up with nobody or buying nothing like that. I was just looking through it. But there's a lot of crazy shit that goes on Craigslist, and I advise people do not get on Craigslist. There's Facebook Market. I never heard anything about the Facebook Marketplace so far, as far as anything happening like this. Meet up with somebody in public, take somebody with you. If you don't feel comfortable or you don't feel like you have that gut feeling, just don't do it. It's not worth it. Especially bringing somebody into your house or going into somebody's house. I remember when before I started working in the medical field, when I was working, doing Walmart deliveries, I had to go into somebody's house and I was so uncomfortable. And I didn't go in because I'm like, I don't know what could happen or what could have been the outcome of that, especially working as a delivery driver. You have to be very mindful of what you're doing, and just, if you have that gut feeling, go with it. Don't go against it, because anything could happen in a blink of an eye. You just never know. And cases like this is actually, these are real cases and true stories. Like, these are people's lives. Like this woman who had this baby, I couldn't imagine just going through that. These situations could have been avoided. I feel like back in the day, Craigslist was so popular. Everybody loved Craigslist. I remember growing up, because I was so into Craigslist, but I was never actually meeting up. Like I said before, I wasn't meeting up with people. I wasn't actually buying things. I was just searching on there. There was a man called the Craigslist Killer, and I think there's actually a film in regards to that. I don't know if it's similar to the actual case or not, but I'm assuming that it is. That kind of shook me to my core, and then I got off of Craigslist. I had started getting back on Craigslist when I was searching for my first car, I remember. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I can remember the repetitive messages that I got from Craigslist. It was always like, email this email address, because I'm not selling a car myself. My cousin or my mom or my dad or my sister or my brother is selling a car. Maybe they're selling a car because a family member is going out to college, a family member passed away. It's an old car, they're not using it, they upgraded. It was always something in that kind of aspect of it, to where it wasn't the actual person that was selling the car that put the car up. You had to message somebody, you had to email another email address to get more information. And then when you did, it gave you that storyline of, oh, I'm selling my car because my son went off to the army and it's just sitting here and it brings back so much memories and I don't see him anymore, or something like that. Or my son died and I have his car and I want to get rid of it, or just something like that. And you just have to be very careful whenever you are on Craigslist. If you are a Craigslist shopper, hopefully you're not. And hopefully if you are and you're meeting someone, meet them in public and always bring somebody with you. You just never know the situation, especially if you're a female. Male too, but I feel like with females, you have to be very careful. Even if you're meeting another woman, or if you're a man meeting another man, just be careful. You never know what people can be up to or what's going on in people's minds as far as what you're selling and how of the product that you have is worth. Just be careful when you do that, and just don't put yourself in situations to where you can get hurt or where you could put your family member's life at stake as well. I do want to upload another video like this because it was fun reading the stories. Let me know down below if you had any Craigslist stories as far as some of the stories that I talked about today. If some of them are crazy or funny, or just comment down below and let me know if you guys want me to upload if you want me to read some more stories as well. And I'll see you guys in my next video.